Hey, welcome to Postpartum. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my delivery experience or pre-delivery experience before I got to that point that I didn't include in my episode. So I mentioned, I believe, that when I came home, because I was saying that I was on the clock, and so I was like, I'm just going to stop at home real quick, get a bite to eat, because, you know, pregnancy feels like you're never, you're either always full or you're never full, right? And then, and go on my way to my client's home up north a little bit. So I stopped, played with my dog a minute, and then went to the bathroom. I was going to say went potty, which I guess we can say that. I just decided I didn't want to say that, but I said it anyway. So I went potty, and I was peeing, and then liquid just kept coming out. But while I was sitting there, I like sensed a pop. That's the best way I can describe it, sensing a pop. Mm-hmm. Because is that kind of like you, Cody? You said that your water broke. So did you sense it or feel it? What did you describe?
I woke up and my water.
Oh, okay.
And the bed was wet. I don't know.
Do you think it woke you up, or do you think it was because you were wet?
I don't know. I don't think either. I think I just woke up because it was morning.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like 2 a.m.
The bed
or something.
is wet.
Yeah,
This is probably my water
again.
You peed again. Eden, stop doing this.
My pregnancy.
Eden does not pee the bed. Just to clarify for everyone.
Disclaimer.
So anyway, yeah, I was like, I'm peeing a lot longer than I expected to be peeing. And what was so weird, it was going back to the pop, is that, and I had the thought, like, maybe my water broke. I'll just wipe and see what's going on. Because you know how they say, like, you can know how hydrated you are by the color of your pee? So I was like, I don't know why that's a good idea. Like, I didn't expect it to be a certain color. Like, I don't know. I think I was like, if it looks like pee, I'll know what's going on. And it was red, like period blood red. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to be bleeding on my pregnancy. Like, I was just like, like, I don't really know how to feel about this. Yeah, I was like calculating. I'm not sure how to feel.
And you felt like you were peeing?
Yeah, it just kept drizzling out, but it didn't feel like I was forced. Like, when you really have to pee, you don't have to really force it. But there's like a certain muscle, you know? But I was just sort of like something had broken and was just coming out. So I quickly Marco Polo'd Phil and was like, we need to go to the hospital, I think, because there's blood coming out of me. And I'm not sure why. So he came home real quick and went and all this stuff. But I had been, anyway, later we found out that I think I mentioned this already, but my daughter's placenta had abrupted. And so that was what it was for. Yeah. But I also had heard the term bloody show. And then somebody told me that's different. Do you guys know what that means? Is that?
Yeah, that's very different.
What's that?
I mean, it's like at the tail end of your period. At least for me, it was like, you know how when you're like, or at the very beginning, it's like lighter, kind of a darker color towards the end of your period. But then like when it's really heavy, it's like bright red blood, like dark. So the bloody show is actually what happens when you have a mucus plug that's plugging up the cervical opening that comes out. And then there's oftentimes some blood that comes out with that but it's not as much as if you're placenta. If you're bleeding, if you're gushing like red blood, go to the hospital. That's not bloody show. But if you just wipe and there's like kind of a brownish reddish blood on there, then it's probably blood, especially if you're like 38 to 42 weeks.
You said at the end of your period. Oh, you're comparing it, but bloody show isn't part of your period. It's part of pregnancy.
I'm saying like the color and it's kind of like when you get towards the end.
And also, I lost my bloody show like a week before I delivered.
Oh, okay.
So if that's the case, I talked to my midwife just to make sure, and she said, yep, that's just your bloody show. And I was like, oh, this means the baby's coming. And then 2 days later, I realized this is not the baby coming.
No, it's just, when as your cervix ripens, your mucus plug can come out. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, mine didn't. I was 39 weeks and 5 days, and I had to have an elective induction, and I didn't have anything. No contractions, no mucus plug. I had some bloody show when I was in the hospital after things started happening for me. And so I was able to experience that, but not like naturally at home.
So something else that I wanted to elaborate on was the medication. So I had said that I was on Clomid, and they hadn't really expounded on the possibilities. They just said, make sure that you want to get pregnant when you take it. And I think I mentioned this, that my husband said, I don't know how much I'm ready to get pregnant. And I was like, it doesn't make you pregnant. So, and I don't think he really thought that, but like, that's almost what it seemed like, the correlation. And so when they said that, make sure you're ready for it to get pregnant when you're on that, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, if we just don't have sex, then it's whatever. But they didn't say anything about twins. And so this experience has just really been a really good reminder to me about like any medications that you're on, to not be bashful about looking into things yourself. Now, I do want to say, I don't think that it's always appropriate to put your Google search above your doctor's like medical degree, right? But I also don't think that you should put one doctor's opinion above anybody else's or your gut feeling or whatever. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I think it's important, and I may have said something about this in the episode if it made it in, but it's just so important to ask questions and like get lots of opinions, because I think people who aren't as prone to asking questions when it comes to the medical field, like I think there's a lot of people who just go to the doctor like deer in the headlights, and this person has all the answers and they're going to tell me exactly what I need to know to get better. But it's important to remember that your doctor is still human. They went to medical school and probably like specified their study in a specific area, so they don't know everything about everything. And it's also important to note that they don't know everything about every drug that's out there, because a lot of it is influenced by pharmaceutical reps that come to their hospital and say, these are the drugs we have for this. And in my 10 years of experience with infertility and going to over a dozen doctors about just PCOS and that one condition, I had such a wide variety of experiences with doctors who had absolutely no idea what it was, could not address it in any way.
PCOS?
And I mean, this was 10 years ago. A lot. Okay. It has come a long way.
That makes more sense.
It has come a long way.
Be very surprised.
Because there are doctors, there are a lot of doctors that specialize in it now. But yeah, 10 years ago, no clue. And so I had to kind of do my own research and figure out what medications I wanted to try. And then I took those medications to the doctors and I said, look, this is the one that's most promising in my research. This is what I want to try. I had a doctor not give it to me because the one that I was looking to pursue was actually for diabetes, because they're very closely related. And she's like, well, you don't have diabetes, so I can't prescribe that for you. And I was like, okay, see ya. I went to another doctor. Yeah. And you just have to do that sometimes. I think you just have to be prepared with your questions, with your information, and just understand that they are flawed. I mean, doctors, obviously they went to medical school. They do know a lot, and I'm not putting them down in any way at all, but don't just go to one doctor and expect them to know everything about everything and give you all the information that you need, because they won't. They're very busy, and they're going to address the most important things and then get out of there onto the next patient. So
yeah.
Where would you go to do research? Do you have a website that you feel like is reputable and
for PCOS specifically?
For researching medications.
I don't have a specific one because my nature is to review 20 of them. Like,
okay.
Just go,
fair.
just
I'm
Google,
just
Google, but like, be careful with your sources, obviously. Like, and you can kind of tell. I mean, I think WebMD gets a bad rap because people say like, oh, you just go to WebMD with your symptoms and now you're dying, But there is legitimate information on there, and so I think that's a good site to start with if you feel like you've got something going on. But I just take everything with a grain of salt and do as much research as you can, because like my sister, I was just talking about how she's a bit of a hypochondriac, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have pneumonia, I have bronchitis, I need to go to the doctor. And she's been sick for like 2 days. And so I'm like, okay, well, take this, over the counter and we'll wait another day and we'll see what happens. And then like the next day she's like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'll go to school. I'm fine. So yeah, I think it's just maintaining a level head, doing as much research as you're comfortable doing until you know enough about the topic that you can take that to your doctor. And when you're more knowledgeable and you talk to a medical professional, they are more likely to reciprocate that knowledge back to you, I've found. When you just go in and you're just like, I don't really know what's going on, in order to, speed up the process, I think, they kind of will tend to say, okay, this is the most common cause of that thing. So I think that's what you have, and we'll start there. And if you do that, then sometimes your time may be wasted if that's not really what's going on. So I think doing that research and being like, I think I have this. These are my symptoms. What do you think? Then maybe they can have a little bit more of a dialogue with you and really give you some recommendations. That at least is my experience in the 10 years I have had in dealing with medical professionals, that the more information I have and that I bring to the table, the more you get back from them, like legitimate information.
So yeah, along those lines of like being informed, I think, so I've seen some things, this is kind of a hot topic, so I'm gonna step lightly, but like IUDs and things like that, I know people have had a lot of scary experiences and fine experiences, including within my own family. Like I had a fine experience and a family member had a scary experience, and I don't know if they were the same type or whatever. And my point in bringing this up isn't about IUDs as much as that you also, like you said, have to keep me level head, and that's what made me think of that. Like you're gonna find if you're not going in with an open mind to gain knowledge and truth and trying to find out, like get like as much information as you can, you're bound to find whatever side you're on. Like I don't want to say the word agenda, but you know. And so if you're really hesitant about something, then maybe it isn't for you, and that's okay. I think, I mean, I can't speak for every medical thing out there, but just knowing that there is a lot of both sides for probably everything out there.
And there are lots of different medications. I mean, the doctors will normally prescribe you or want to start you on their most common, their most successful medication. But again, there are different medications out there that maybe that doctor hasn't heard of. I've had that experience where I go from one doctor to another. This first one gave me a medication and it's working great. And then I go to the other one and the other one's like, oh, I've never heard of that. Let me look it up and then give you a prescription for it or whatever. Like, but they actually had to go and look up the medicine, and
which is okay. I would so much rather have my doctor do that than just say, pretend like they know everything.
Sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll be like, no, I've never heard of that, so I'm not giving it to you. Like that can happen too. And the same thing with like, medical testing. Sometimes if you don't ask for that, or if you don't have any clear symptoms and you don't ask for something to be looked at, the doctor's not going to look at it. Like I think sometimes you go in and you're just like, well, they're going to tell me if anything's wrong. Well, they don't know. Like they're not going to just test you for everything, right? So I think knowing your body, knowing how you feel, knowing when things are off, and then researching it a little bit to figure out, oh, maybe I need to have this tested to see what's going on. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it'd be great if we could just go in and be like, hey, scan my whole body and tell me everything that's wrong and how to fix it. I don't think we're there yet. I think we have to do a little bit of that work on our own. Yeah. That reminds me of Phil. He's been having some issues with his stomach for a long time, and he's been struggling with some pain intermittently for the past several months. And he said, after researching, after one particularly bad episode, he said, I think that I have issues with my gallbladder. I'm going to go talk to the doctor and see if they'll take it out. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works. But actually, it sounds a lot more in line, like, because I was kind of like, Mr. Googled and whatever, but he really made it more efficient, I believe. And so I'm eating crow a little bit, and I think that, that's actually a better approach. I don't think that if he had gone in there and he was like, so my symptoms are this and this and this, and the doctor's like, no, that's nothing to do with your gallbladder. He's like, no, you're wrong. Right. I feel like that would be open mind. Yes, exactly. Keep an open mind. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We'll catch you next time.